Yo, what's up, guys? Teacher Paul here, and today we are reacting to chess. Guys, this is a copy request by Whiplash, and Whiplash says the following. Possibly the most exciting end of one of the biggest chess tournaments there is. All four could win this, and even Nakamura had a winning chance. That is incredible. Guys, let's check this out, and if you want to join me live, I am on Twitch, and if you want to request a video, go over to Buy Me a Coffee. But let's check this one. Thank you so much to Whiplash for sharing this with me.
So you have to be careful where you step as Magnus Carlsen, but he smells it now. Given a question mark, Arjun Erigaisi this last move, he is done if Magnus finds the right way forward. Still not easy though, but how to finish this one off? He is reaching for his rook, he gives a check.
Is he thinking about a repetition here if White King steps up and Arjun doesn't stop on the clock and Magnus repeats it for the second time? Will he go for the win? It's hard for me to imagine that he repeats.
He's just gaining a few seconds on the clock. They've reached move 40. They've passed move 40. So Magnus, by repeating the position twice, gained 20 seconds on his clock. He's got 5 minutes left to try and find a way to win this game. A draw and his fate is no longer in his own hands, despite the fact that Fabiano has a winning advantage against Gukesh.
And Magnus Carlsen likes to write his own destiny. I don't think he'll go for that option, relying on a result on the other board. He's got to be feeling that he's so close to trapping White's king right now. Magnus, he can get the draw in. He can bank the Armageddon right now. But does he want more? Does he want to finish off Norway chess right here, right now?
What about the ghosts of the Gukesh game, though? Magnus was so winning against Gukesh. That turned around last.
I was trying to see what the play could be for Magnus there. I was thinking maybe he could try to check, and then like he's got to move his knights, I would assume here. Although one of the knights is being blocked by the queen, but it's definitely a good position for Magnus. And at the same time, we had the other teams playing, and all four of them had a winning chance.
Will he play it safe? This is the other game. This is Fabiano turning the screw, doing all the hard work against Gukesh. He's won a pawn, and the black pawn on d3. Okay, will it fall?
And there's this feeling, right? Gukesh is about to lose. And Magnus, we saw him glancing up. He knows Gukesh is in trouble. Does Magnus feel that a repetition is the pragmatic way to go? Nobody else except Gukesh can catch him.
That is true. And you see Gukesh living another day, king to c8. And it's still difficult for Fabi because he still has to handle this past d3 pawn.
I thought he was actually going to win that pawn with a series of checks, but maybe not. Maybe after a...
You know, what I find amusing is that the amount of draws in this composition is insane. That is how, you know, competitive chess is right now.
White queen check here. The black queen can slide back and block, defend, and the game continues. It's not over yet. Fabi with 8 minutes against Gukesh's 3.
But I like that line, you know, that centralized queen, you get it to a worse square, and then you continue playing, but it's still far from over as the players are fighting, and we've got Magnus on the right side still contemplating, does he repeat with rook to d1 check, or will he find a way to go on for Arjun's king? But what is the way here? What are the options for black? How do you do it?
It's very difficult. I've consulted Mr. Stockfish, Mr. Computer, and black has maybe 2 winning moves. One is to move the black king out of the way, that red board on the right there, to shift the black king just down 1 square, keep it on the edge of the board, just break the pin that the white queen has set up. The other move is to play pawn to f5, break the 5th rank pin, and if the white pieces take, there are forks galore. That is game over if Magnus pushes his pawn 2 squares, the f pawn.
Oh, that's beautiful, actually. That's a stunning move.
I don't think it will happen because of knight takes pawn, so...
What do you think? Does he go for the Armageddon, or does he play on?
No, he plays on.
He plays on. He does play on.
He plays king to g4.
King to g4, not one of the best moves, but now look at the bar slide. Magnus has not found the right way to win here. The white queen has to slide across and give a check. Arjun has only one move now.
It's very exciting, the commentary. I mean, normally chess is like a calm, relaxing, thoughtful game. But this is this is giving me anxiety right now.
Must bring his queen across the 5th rank. That only is the beginning, though. Magnus is going to try and walk his king yet again round the front. It's always a king walk when it's Magnus Carlsen. It's always a king walk when it's Gukesh. It's always a king walk when it's Erigaisi. It feels like this is going to be a fitting end to the tournament, no matter the result.
But Magnus's king walk against Gukesh with the black pieces did not go in his favor. He's trying to do it again, and this time against another Indian, against Arjun, as Arjun gets his queen to defend. There are a lot of checks on the board. The queen can go to e5 as well.
King goes to g3 and some big threats. The rook is threatening to swing over to f2.
You keep checking, right, Ivanka, if you're white?
Yeah, that's what you have to depend on. Queen to e5 check.
Where do you hide? Where does Magnus's king hide?
Only move, he's coming round the front. I think he's going to...
Is it a good move if he tries to take the queen? Because if he checks the king over there with his rook, with his rook, he can take the queen, right? In 2 moves. Is that a good idea though?
To slide across the 3rd rank, that black king again on the red board. We're talking about the Magnus game right now. In the meantime, Fabi gave a check, brought the white queen back.
But then he loses rook and then Arjun queens.
Borderline winning now.
That's our board on the left. Complete domination of these 3 pieces. The queen, bishop, and knight, the center of the board. Look at the way he's created disharmony between Gukesh's queen and rook. Offside rook, the d3 pawn, a weakness can be picked up. The queen on d8 doing nothing at all. The 3 pieces in the center dominate the black queen.
Yeah, and there you're seeing queen to e5. And, well, the big question is, where do you hide with the king when the queen is seeking it out? You can hide it on d1.
What about
Walk
h4?
Across the board, Magnus. Wow, he's got so many pieces, though. Knights are a king's best friend, they do say. Knights are the only piece that can really shield a king from the glare of an enemy queen. So black has 2 of those. It does feel like Magnus isn't risking much. Totally understand why he's doing this.
But he's under 3 minutes as well, right? You can see the white queen sliding over to give a check from f5. Black hides on e3.
What if he goes...
I'm not sure where you continue the checks then. Do you bring your knight to d5? Is that the idea? After king e3, what is the move for Arjun Erigaisi to keep the game going? Because there are some big checks being threatened by Magnus. Give him 1 move and it's over for white.
You can feel that if king to e3, that knight should come in to check, because otherwise...
And a shout out to India, by the way, having
look at
2...
Magnus. He's managed to protect every single piece he has.
2 grandmasters.
The knight protects the rook, the other knight protects the knight, the pawn protects the knight, the knight protects the other pawn, the king protects everything.
Just need to keep the king protected. That's the one thing. And, okay, which way is he going to go? If he goes back to the right, Magnus Carlsen, he repeats the position, gains a few seconds on the clock. I expect that. Whether he's going for the draw or not is another big question. A draw might be enough for Magnus, but he won't know that for certain.
So basically, the winner, like if any of them win and Carlsen draws or loses, any of them could be the winner.
And Arjun, instructive by him, right? When you're on the
He
defense,
has
you
to
don't
win,
want to
right?
think about your moves for too long, giving those extra seconds to your opponent. He knows a draw is his best shot. He repeats instantly.
Yeah. Well, we're seeing also on the left that Gukesh is now ticking dangerously close to the minute mark, and his king is in big danger. Also, it's very difficult to come up with a good move.
Look at the clock situation for both Gukesh and Magnus, under the 1.5 minute mark there. Gukesh, it looks like he's just frozen. He needs to make a move. But it's kind of difficult to even come up with a move for black here.
Yeah, no good moves for Gukesh, that's the problem. Maybe best would be to throw away his pride and joy, the black d-pawn. Again, the blue board on the left there, to throw it away in order to try and trade queens. Black can push the pawn to d2 if it's captured by a white knight. You can offer a queen trade, but that endgame looks lost. It looks bad. Gukesh does not typically try to bail out into bad endgames. He'd rather take dynamic chances. Although it's looking difficult for him. Magnus moves his king, meanwhile, on the other board.
And Arjun immediately checks it for Gukesh. No good moves in bad position seems to be the storyline there on our board on the left. Now, a big question for Magnus Carlsen. Does he slide over to e3 to keep the game going, or will he, once again, having the opportunity, take it to Armageddon?
Yes, but big decision there for Magnus, because if he wins in Classical, that's it. He will be Norway champion for the 7th time. And for Gukesh, well, if he's looking like he's on the way to a loss, Fabiano Caruano is hoping that
40
Arjun
seconds
turns
on
it
the
around
clock.
if he wants to be Norway champion. But Gukesh desperately trying to hold on, desperately looking for that draw, because at least then he will net 1
30
point
seconds.
and the pressure will be
Let's
on
go,
Magnus.
Carlsen.
Gukesh, though, his last move has turned a bad position into a dead lost one. He's actually going to lose his rook if Fabi slides his queen across and pins that piece. That being said, it's not over. At least in human terms, you do start to fear Black's pass pawns. Fabiano still has a lot of time on the clock.
15
Magnus, though,
seconds.
Moment of truth. He plays for the win. The world #1. A draw would have been enough, surely, for him. But he goes for
A
it.
draw would be
Again,
enough
I hear
if
the Norwegian
Gukesh
TV
loses,
crew
right?
here getting very excited because Magnus Carlsen is taking a small risk here. He's allowed the white knight back with a check. And Magnus centralizes his king.
Yep.
And this isn't the first time Magnus
Three.
has done this at the big stage. You know, it was in the
Two.
World Championship match against Vichy where he continued to play, and it did pay off dividends. Magnus still on the clock there for Gukesh, 15 seconds.
Yeah, Gukesh making that last move with just 5 seconds on the clock. And there we are seeing that Gukesh just lining
what
up,
if Carlsen
giving
moves his
up
pawns?
the rook in order to bank all counterplay on the passed d-pawn.
Okay, big news on both boards. This is a very tricky move from Gukesh,
Ah,
trying
I
to
see.
push his pawn forward.
Earlier, I suggested that he takes the queen with his rook, but then they would have equal amounts of pieces. It would be 1 knight, 2 pawns. So that would be a draw, a drawing position. But right now, he's in a winning position.
Trying to trick his way into saving that game. Magnus, meanwhile, about to reach out. Is he moving his rook? He grabs the pawn himself, the world #1. Is that a good move? Arjun Erigaisi now in only move territory yet again. Otherwise, Black basically delivers checkmate. It's an extremely difficult move as well for Arjun. He needs to move his queen away and allow some nasty knight checks.
But you want your queen and king to be as far away from each other as possible, right? To not walk into any folks, but also calculate that you're not walking into checkmates with the 2 knights and the black king and the rook all ganged up against that white king. For Magnus,
This is so
it's about hiding
exciting.
his own king. For Arjun, he needs to find a good square where the queen can start checking that king at the center of the board.
Also, there's a big threat on the board of the black rook sliding up, and the white king will be driven to the e2 square, upon which black can just simply go knight to g3. So there is danger lurking right now.
Where do you move the queen? Where is the right square? Where you can start not only defending your own queen against folk, but also get towards Magnus's king in the center.
Queen to d7, that's the right board. The red board there, he needs to line up the white queen with black's king, threaten some discovered checks, but that feels like it's playing with fire. If we do see that move, though, if Arjun does find it and he does have 6 minutes, then we might see some counter chances. Magnus is not entirely safe himself. Magnus might have to bail out at the right moment. There we see the blue arrow shows it. The only move for Arjun Erigaisi. Otherwise, he is lost. He can resign on the spot unless he finds it due to knight forks. Just to show you Vanka's idea, if we see a pawn move, for example, the black rook will come down, check the white king, and the white queen turns out to be on a vulnerable forking square.
Wow,
So you
okay.
need to move her away, get her out of that line of sight of the black knight. Queen to d7. Not easy at all.
And he finds
He
it.
found
It's
it.
game on as
No
Arjun
way,
lines up
he
his queen
found
against
it.
the black king. And now Magnus has to be careful. Knight b4, a big threat on the board.
Yeah.
Discover.
Dang. Okay, now he aligns it, and now he's preparing a fork here, right? That's how you call it. So that if he plays the knight, then his king is exposed. That was so good. It was a great move. Dang. And on the other side, Gukesh is also, he's fighting for his position here. Dang.
Checks everywhere.
And seconds left on the clock from Magnus. Okay, he's frozen a check just to get those extra 10 seconds. Arjun will step up with his king.
And every time the question, does now Magnus repeat? Does he feel that Arjun has the perfect defense? Does he feel that Arjun's created the counterplay?
Magnus should bail out, I think. Magnus should really bail out. Gukesh has no chances of winning his game. Gukesh is still losing over there, but should not be able
4
to win.
seconds.
3
He's got 3.
seconds.
He needs to make a move.
He does. He advances his rook, and there's still going to be
Dude,
hope
that was
left
so
for Gukesh.
close. 2
because
seconds
that
on the
d pawn
clock.
is still alive.
But okay, he doesn't know right? He can't know how the other game is going, right?
He attacks the bishop with c7 so tender. I still think it's not as over as the bar indicates on the Gukesh board as well. For Magnus, the pragmatic decision, go into Armageddon. The only way you lose the title there would be if Gukesh wins in classical and takes it to that 3-point victory. Arjun, meanwhile, comes back, moment of truth, for the third time in the Magnus versus Arjun. Does he go for a rook check or will he play on?
Magnus has 15 seconds left now. He's looking up at the big screen. He is
Oh, he
about
can
to
see
decide
the
whether
big
to bail out
screen.
with a draw or to go for it. If he goes for it, there is risk attached. Magnus Carlsen, 5 seconds.
5 seconds.
And that
4,
decision depends
3,
on Gukesh's
2,
vote for Magnus.
1
Three-minute
second.
move.
Oh, he throws in a check.
Oh my
He made that move with a
goodness.
few seconds left. The position repeats itself.
Oh my goodness, that was 0.3 seconds. And I have seen Magnus lose because the clock ran out. Dude, that was so close. That was 0.7 seconds on the clock. And now he's just freezing so he can get more of the 10 seconds. Every time he moves, he gets those 10 seconds, right?
Arjun can now claim a draw. This will be the
Crazy.
third time they reach this position if Arjun retreats his king. Magnus Carlsen, head in hands there, knows it's a draw.
And Arjun pauses. He's looking at it and he's going to call the arbiter just about now to claim that draw, which will be given, taking it to the Armageddon. And the championship will rely on what happens on the Fabi
So it was a
Gukesh
draw.
match as this goes into Armageddon.
Yeah, and there we see the arbiter stepping in, and
Magnus
we're
not happy.
expecting
He's
this
not
game
happy.
to be declared a draw. He's not happy because he hasn't yet secured the title.
And I think he realizes and he knows that this position, it should be winning for Black. He has to have his chances. Look
He
at the piece
claimed a draw.
construction. But he just didn't have enough time. And that's it. It does go into Armageddon.
Okay.
Oh, and just there, Arjun pointed out the winning move, f5. He just said to Magnus, you were winning. And Magnus, I'm sure, will react, but this is where
Wow.
we have to
So wow. He didn't see it.
Enough time. And that's it. It does go into Armageddon.
Okay.
Oh, and just there, Arjun pointed out the winning move, f5.
Arjun
He just said to
knew.
Magnus, you
Arjun
were winning.
knew.
And Magnus, I'm sure, will react, but this is where we have to focus. Right now, Fabiano is winning, but there is counterplay.
Love for 10.
Pawn to d2, a big threat for Black to push through, pawn through here, punch it through to promotion. Wow, Magnus is going to be devastated if there's a turnaround on this board, but he had to do the pragmatic thing. Magnus was haunted by the ghosts of Gukesh in that
Yes,
turnaround.
I
earlier
was
in the
gonna
tournament.
say-
That's why
I was gonna say this tournament was Gukesh versus Carlsen. That is the headline right there.
Magnus played it safe there. But Fabiano, how are your nerves? 1.5 minutes left.
And that was a king march where Magnus's king eventually fell on the board right there. And Magnus lost. And I think f5, the move, and maybe you'll show us that moment because we looked at it, completely busted for Arjun had Magnus found it. And now going into the Armageddon, Magnus has to leave that thought behind.
We'll recap those moments a bit later. But
But I'm
first we
very
have to
proud of
focus
India
here.
having
Big
2
time scramble.
grandmasters
Yep.
Fabiano
close
has
to the
move.
winning.
1 minute now.
He certainly does. Okay, so he just simply advances.
Oh my
Whoa! And the evaluation bar drops. That was a mistake. Perhaps Queen A6
Was he blunder?
was the best move to give a check. But wow,
2 seconds, he made that move. He made that move with barely any time on the clock.
It's a massive blunder by Fabiano, who now, after
Oh
Queen
my
takes Bishop,
goodness.
will most likely be held to a draw. This is going to go to
Oh my
Armageddon
God,
in
it
both
was-
matches now.
And we have a queen. Oh, and suddenly
Gukesh
there's
has
a swing.
blundered.
Bishop takes queen.
It's a check, but there's a fork at the end. Gukesh has blundered a knight fork. This is over.
Oh,
Gukesh had the draw in his
wow.
hands.
Oh, and then I see him.
Oh my God, the heartbreak.
Oh,
The pain.
he,
Oh wow, he blundered.
but wow,
2 seconds, he made that move. He made that move with barely any time on the clock.
It's a massive blunder by Fabiano.
Dude.
certainly does. Okay, so he just simply advances.
Oh my
Whoa! And the evaluation bar drops. That was a mistake. Perhaps Queen A6 was the best move to give a check. But wow,
2 seconds, he made that move. He made that move with barely any time on the clock.
It's a massive blunder by Fabiano, who now, after Queen takes Bishop, will most likely be held to a draw. This is going to go to
Oh my
Armageddon
God,
in
it
both
was-
matches now.
And we have a queen.
Wow.
And suddenly
Wow, the bot was like, "What are you doing?"
Gukesh has blundered.
Bishop takes.
Bishop 10 was the right move. No, wait. Let me see. What would the right move be here? Oh, I see. I see. Dang, he had the draw.
Will most likely be held to a draw. This is going to go to
Oh my
Armageddon
God,
in
it
both
was-
matches now.
And we have the queen. Oh my God, and suddenly
Gukesh
there's a
has
swing.
blundered.
Wow, he should have taken his queen out of the way. That is heartbreaking. He should have taken the queen out of the way and saved his queen, and then he would have two queens.
Both matches now.
And we have the queen. Oh my God, and suddenly
Gukesh
there's a
has
swing.
blundered.
Bishop takes queen.
It's a check, but there's a fork at the end. Gukesh has blundered a knight fork. This is over.
Wow.
Gukesh had the draw in his hands.
Look at his world falling. Oh my goodness. Wow. Wow. What a blunder. See, what happened was he lost his queen and then he gained another queen. So that really didn't help him at all, because at the end of the day there was a fork that was the knight to c3, which can capture either the rook or the queen, because Gukesh probably didn't realize that there would be a check. He probably thought, I'm gonna capture with my rook, the bishop, I'm gonna capture with my rook, and he ended up blundering. So now he's down one piece and he can't recover from that, because now it's a queen, a knight, 2 pawns versus a queen and 2 pawns. Dang. Oh wow. What an ending to this story.
Takes queen.
It's a check, but there's a fork at the end. Gukesh has blundered a knight fork. This is over. Gukesh had the draw in his hands.
Oh, and
he
there you
realizes
see
it.
him.
Oh my God, the heartbreak.
I'm so
The
sorry.
pain.
He
Just having
realized
all of it and surviving. And it's all over for Gukesh.
3, 2,
He's about to be flagged. Make a move.
and we
Wow.
have handshake.
He resigns.
Magnus Carlsen is the Norway Chess 2025
Wow,
champion.
Gukesh.
After
So
Fabiano
close.
Caruano defeats Gukesh. It's heartbreak for the world champion, though. The young Indian grandmaster was so close, fought so hard, and actually had a path to a draw right at the death. But he blundered, he let it slip with no time on his clock, and wow, so many turnarounds.
And you can just see the emotion there on the world champion's face.
I mean,
Everything turned, and he could feel that the momentum was on his side. And just look at
If only he had more time on the clock, he wouldn't have made that mistake. If he had more time.
him. He is in bits. He's absolutely gutted.
it just speaks of what's going on here.
That
I mean,
was
you look at
ru-
Gukesh
that was
and you
ruthless.
feel
That
the
was
pain
brutal.
right now. This is tough to watch. I mean, after the roller coaster of a tournament that he's had, the top 4 takedown that the world champion did in this tournament, Magnus, Fabi, Hikaru, and Arjun, and he can't believe it. At the very end,
I feel
just
sorry
about
for him.
surviving there.
Damn.
Gukesh is still calculating those lines. He's wondering, how could he let this slip? He had it, and it would have gone into an Armageddon where he would have the shot at the title. And just like that, it goes out of his hands.
So
Wow.
you have to be careful where you step.
That was ruthless, man. That was ruthless. So the best case scenario for Gukesh would be if Carlsen had lost and he had won, right? Let's look at the standings. Let's look at how many points each had. But that was so sad at the end, the reactions. Who would have thought that, chess would be such an emotional game? Right? So look at the standings over here. Magnus Carlsen with 16 points. Fabiano Caruana, half a point. Half a point. It's crazy. half a point he didn't win. And Gukesh, if he had won, or if he had, you know, a draw, then he would have been close to Fabiano as well. Or, yeah, he would be in. Wait, if he had won, he would be in. He would be in first place if he had won. But if he had just a draw, he would probably be just in second place again, right? Or no? Oh, Armageddon is 2 points. Is it? Or is it half a point? I'm not sure. I just realized I don't know how many points you get. But look at the standings here. That is absolutely insane. Even Nakamura had had a chance if the odds were right. That was absolutely incredible. And look at how many draws there are. You know, Hikaru drew 7 times. Wei Wei, he didn't do so great, but still he's there in the top 6. 7 draws and 3 losses. But dang, Carlsen, 3 wins, 1 loss, because it was also a blunder to Gukesh. That is absolutely insane, because Magnus Carlsen blundered. He had a winning position and he blundered against Gukesh, and Gukesh went and won that match. Absolutely insane. And then Gukesh went and blundered and lost that match. Dang, what a roller coaster of emotions right here. Thank you, Whiplash, for sharing this with me. Guys, if you want more chess reactions, just subscribe to the channel. I'm not at the level of you know, the people who are watching this and commenting on it. I know the basics and the fundamentals of chess, but I'm still learning most of, like, I understand the fundamentals, but it takes me a while to kind of grasp and think and process what's going on. But it's really fun, and I didn't know it was this exciting. This was really, really anyone's game. And you know, the champion, Magnus Carlsen, the GOAT, he's the one who won. Not much of a surprise there, but you know, I think he wanted a flawless victory, though. I think he wanted to have 0 losses, and he could have if he hadn't blundered. So he still got it, you know. He still. How many years do you think he still has? Because I know he stepped back a little bit from competitive chess, and also he has mentioned I saw a news article saying he was asking, "What's the point? Maybe I should quit classical chess." You know. Let's see what happens. But that was fun. Thank you for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Go request a video or join me on Twitch, and click over here to see my sports playlist. Bye-bye.